On today's video, I'm going to be sharing a very exciting book. This is Seth Speaks, The Eternal Validity of the Soul. This is a book that first came into my life in 2010. Actually, it's crazy because I found the Amazon shipping thing in it as a bookmark, and it says July 29th, 2010. And this was a life-changing book for me. It came into my life right before my brother passed away, like 6 months before he passed away, and that was for a reason. It definitely helped me through the grieving process, through my own spiritual awakening and uncovering what is true about this human existence. And I really wanted to do a book review and break down some of the key parts from this, although there is so much in here. I think she has like more than 10 books too. So anyway, let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Kara Michelle and I'm here to help you live your truth. And these Seth Speak books are really powerful. Basically what they are is the author, Jane Roberts, she is a channeler, she's a medium. So she channeled this being who called himself Seth and wrote all these books. And inside the books, they actually break down some of the conversations between Jane and her husband before she would sit down to channel and before this spirit would come through and tell her what to write or tell her what to speak. And they recorded everything. They've got timestamps. They've got all the details, all the info. It's very cool. So I was always someone who was really open to that kind of stuff and really looking for purpose and meaning and trying to figure out that, like, I knew there had to be more to life than the physical reality that we had been presented with as kids of like, go to school, go to work, get a job, have a family, settle down, die. Like, that is how it felt like in my mind. That is not what I wanted for myself. I knew there had to be more, like something meaningful about me being here on this earth. And maybe you felt that in your soul, right? You felt that deep calling. So that is there for a reason. That's because you're here to do more than that normal existence. And my dad actually had read this book like when he was like 20 or something, and we had some great talks about it when I was growing up, and it was really influential for him in his own life and learning. And so he bought me this book when I was 18 before I went away to university. This was like the only book I brought with me to British Columbia to go to school. And then it was, like I said, I got this in the summer, and then it was in January that my brother passed away from an allergic reaction to a prescription drug. So all of a sudden one morning I got the call and everything in my life had changed, and it was horrible, and obviously, and this was one of the books, because I had it at my house, that I started flipping through, because there's actually quite a few chapters here on death and like the physical death and what that means. Like this one's called Death and Conditions in Life. You know, there's a lot about reincarnation. So much knowledge in here about the levels of consciousness, and really eye-opening. So with that said, that's my little preface. This was kind of one of the first books I picked up after my brother passed away, because it was like, I kind of felt like this is weird that I have this book here with me, and it's really going to be able to help me. And I did get so many signs from Derek after he passed, so there was no doubt in my mind that his spirit was still here and communicating with me. We had amazing conversations in my dreams. He sent owls all the time to my to where I was living, whether I was back home or back out in BC for school. It was just really cool. So a lot of Red Hot Chili Peppers songs too, and because we are all energy. So when we pass on and we leave this physical body, we are still an energetic being. Our soul doesn't die. It still exists. It's just in a realm that's a different frequency than what we can cognitively perceive right now. So I really do believe that, like, not in ghosts in a bad way, but it all exists. It's all energy, right? So getting into some of the parts of the book that are going to be main takeaways, I will probably have to make a second video about this sometime, because I only cover like up until halfway through the book with some of these things, and I don't want to make this like an hour-long video. but these are key takeaways. So if you can like be open, you know, take this in, look at it in your own life, kind of question your own normal patterns and thoughts and beliefs, and just see what comes from this, I'm sure there's going to be some breakthroughs for you. Let me know in the comments down below if you have ever read something like this, if you've ever been to a medium, if you believe in that kind of stuff. And also, please give this video a thumbs up if you are enjoying it so far. So this is all about channeling spirit and the projection of energy. So one of the things that Seth says, and actually I wanted to read this very first thing because it's pretty cool. So if you believe firmly that your consciousness is locked up somewhere inside your skull and is powerless to escape it, if you feel that your consciousness ends at the boundary of your body, then you sell yourself short and you will think that I'm a delusion. I'm no more a delusion than you are. I can say this to each of my readers honestly. I am older than you are, at least in terms of age as you think of it. If a writer can qualify as any kind of authority on the basis of age, therefore, then I should get a medal. I'm an energy, personality, essence, no longer focused in physical matter. As such, I'm aware of some truths that many of you seem to have forgotten. I hope to remind you of those. And I get chills saying that because when we come into this physical existence, we forget a lot of the whole true meaning and true purpose of who we are and what this existence is about. And that's what causes so much anxiety, so much fear, so many bad decisions, and like acting out of a place of that fear of like who I need to be or insecurities, right? When we connect to the fact that we are so much more, we start to just embrace our own unique gifts and our soul's calling, those things that really light us up and keep us passionate and give us meaning and purpose. And that's what we're here to do. And that's what actually changes the world, right? Is the more people who get into alignment with that and are living their truest purpose, the better the world's going to be. And that's what I believe I'm here to help share with you guys, is like bringing that truth to you. So I'm Kara Michelle. I'm here to help you live your truth. This is the freaking truth I'm talking about. The fact that you are so much more than what you think you are, and getting back into that truth means embodying it fully and trusting your purpose, trusting those things that are leading you, okay? So in this book, she's channeling spirit. It's a projection of energy. Abraham Hicks says this beautifully, like everything is energy and it depends what frequency you're on. If you're listening to 103.1 and you hear this beautiful music and then you're telling a friend about it and they're like, well, I don't hear it. And then you're like, well, what channel were you on? And they're like, oh, I was on 98. And you're like, well, no, you're not going to hear it because you're not on the same frequency. You're not on the same station. You have to align your energies. And so what's so powerful about like channeling for mediums, as well as like if you're connecting and you are an intuitive person like myself, then the more higher the vibration is that you carry, the more you're aware to these things, right? The more you pick up on things, you get little divine downloads, as we call it sometimes, those little things coming in, you get the sparkles, you hear things, you see colors, you dreams, right? Dream connection, because you are out of the conscious mind and into the subconscious. You are out of the conscious mind and on a different plane of energy is what I meant to say. But I'll get into that. So personality and interpretation of life is really cool, because one of these things here, we all have our beliefs of who we are and what we're capable of, and that's all just in the mind, right? And so this is here. When you arrive or emerge into physical life, not only is your mind not a blank slate, waiting for the scrolls that experience will write upon it, but you are already equipped with a memory bank far surpassing that of any computer. You face your first day upon the planet with skills and abilities already built in, though they may or may not be used, and they are not merely the result of heredity as you think. So you may think of your soul or entity as some conscious and living, divinely inspired computer who programs its own existence into lifetimes. So what I love about this, so then it also says, because of this consciousness, in turn it creates realities that may have been undreamed of by the computer itself. So every personality comes with a built-in idea of the reality in which it's going to operate. And I've talked about this on another video with soul contracts. We are here in this present moment, on this present time of Earth right now, because there was something we were coming to do in this reality. There was a reason for it. There was a purpose. There was something we were meant to create, something we were meant to be involved in. This is why I believe so strongly in the butterfly effect, right? And that ripple effect, because one thing that you do can set off waves in motion that create a massive change, right? And that is part of our jobs as conscious creators, is to tap into like our personal reality, our personal truth, and create and bring these things forward and create this new reality, create what is possible for us. And the biggest thing that keeps people from getting there is a limited mindset. And it's the mind that's saying like, I'm not good enough. I can't do that. Who am I to have that? I don't deserve it. They're going to judge me. Like fear of failure, fear of judgment, all those things, right? It's the limited mind that keeps us from actually creating that. And then when you look at people who are the most successful people in the world, when you look at people who have literally created empires from nothing, like Oprah and Tony Robbins and basically everyone who's like highly successful, Henry Ford, right? They're all people who had these big, big ideas and visions of what they wanted to create. It was deep in their soul. This is what I'm here to do. And maybe they didn't know how. Guaranteed they didn't know how, but they started to take action and they didn't let the limiting beliefs and the limiting mindset hold them back. They propelled forward to create that reality for themselves. And look at the impact it created. One person, such as Oprah or Tony Robbins, right? Henry Ford, who created Ford Motors, right? Where would we be right now if those people didn't follow that pull and that passion? And that's what I think I want every single one of you to walk away with from this video, is like, whatever your passion is, you are supposed to be doing that. And you might think, I'm just one person, it's not going to matter. What if Henry Ford said that? How much longer would we have waited before we had like different kind of motor? I don't know anything about Henry Ford, right? But let's be honest, I don't get cars. But if Tony Robbins had said, I'm just one person, I'm not going to try, I don't think I'll really make a difference, how many millions of people around the world wouldn't have had read his books, wouldn't have gone to his seminars and his events, wouldn't have broken free from old things and be making their difference in their lives or being happier or more fulfilled, right? That one person, that is you watching this video, you're meant to do something big. You have the capacity to do it. If your mindset is blocking you, check out the free video down below, my free mindset training, because this is what I help people do to break free from this place and make this shift, okay? And that's what you're meant to do too. You're supposed to be thriving, okay? Let's move on, because that's a long tangent. So page 38, okay. This is also talking about the different purpose and the dream dimensions. And I really find this interesting because I've always had a lot of dreams, and every single night sometimes I have like 8 or 9 different dreams that I remember, and I like to write them down. And I can look at like a dream journal from 6 years ago and read the first couple sentences and remember like exactly everything that played out in that dream, because it's fascinating. Like that blows me away. So if you're a dreamer, and if you do have those kind of deep connections in your dreams, then really spend some time connecting to that. Look for the signs, look at the messages, look at the things that are coming through, the feelings, the notions that you're picking up on in these dreams, because you're connecting with a different level of consciousness when you're dreaming, and your ego isn't around anymore. So the ego mind is that one I just talked about that keeps you limited, fear-based, trying to crave safety and security, but that's keeping you stuck. That's the ego. It's also looking at me. It's also looking at the comparison, the separation, right? So dreams are your soul reality, which is really cool. And I don't know if I can find that on here to actually read it, but basically the physical reality is a larger illusion because we don't actually know what's going on here. The soul is the reality, and this is why I know for me, especially after my car accident, I had an out-of-body experience. I had a lot of trouble staying grounded after and separating reality from, I was like on a different plane 100%. Afterwards, I was very out of it and like disassociated from my body. And I remember feeling like, to me, dreams felt more real than my daily life. Like, my dreams are so vivid, so deep, so connected. I'm like consciously aware. I'm like traveling. I'm having these conversations. I'm aware that I'm in the dream. I'm having a dream within the dream, like Inception, but I still know that I'm dreaming. And like all of these different levels and layers to my dreams, that I would wake up. And it was like Inception, where I'd wake up and the world just felt really dull. And I was kind of like, my dreams are so much better. Like, even though I was living a great life. But this reality, this physical reality, is so different than our true reality, which is spirit. And something I loved was, after my brother passed away, I did go to a lot of mediums and had some amazing conversations where they shared things that they wouldn't have known. There's no way they could have known. So I believe 110% it was Derek coming through. And one of the things he said was just how, like, the colors, everything's just so vibrant. It's so beautiful. He is doing all these amazing things. I can be anywhere, anytime. You can be in multiple places. And that's one of the things mentioned about the projection of, like, as energy, you can project. So it's not like your full self. Like, in this physical reality, I cannot be in two places at once, right? I'm either here or I'm over there, right? I can't like project my hand over to Australia to wave to my friend, you know? It would be cool, it would be super weird, but we can't do that in the physical reality. In the spiritual reality, in the spiritual realm, you can project yourself, you can project your energy. So someone's energy, this is why when people pass on, their energy is with everyone they love. It's not like, oh, Derek is just with my mom right now, so he's not with me. It's like, no, they can project their energy in multiple places at once because it's a multi-dimensional reality. So some of his energy could be here with me, putting on a Red Hot Chili Peppers song, for instance, when I'm driving in my car to remind me I'm okay, right? To remind me he's here. But at the same time, he could be like watching my mom or hanging out there or flickering a light at her house, you know? Energy is multidimensional. I guess that's the point of this. So dreams, if you are someone who has them, pay attention, start a journal. I have a note in my phone, so every morning I try to, sometimes I forget, but I try to write my dreams out, different things, the key points, right? Because then sometimes later you look at them and you're like, wow, this is exactly what's happening in real life. So really, really cool. I like this one too. The soul cannot be destroyed. And I think this is something that, because we're so unsure of our existence, because we aren't taught these things about the spiritual realm, obviously now we're way more awake and aware of it. But when most of us were growing up, we weren't taught these things, right? So we had a lot of fear around death. And we felt like it was eternal and like this is it forever and this is the end. And that's where the fear comes in. That's the scary piece. That's the ego, though, because the ego is afraid to die. The ego is so controlling, it's afraid to not exist anymore, right? So when you understand that the soul cannot be destroyed, yeah, it's just beautiful, because you just know, like, nothing actually ends. There is no ending. And that's what I think, for me, what I learned from this book that eased a lot of my stresses was that whole eternal piece. Because I remember as like a 6 or 7 year old kid trying to ask my parents, like, because my dad and I would talk about this, and he did believe in reincarnation, and I'll get to that in a second. But I'd talk to him and be like, so if I die in this life and I'm reincarnated to learn more lessons and have a different experience, right? Then when I die, then what happens? Do I reincarnate again and again? And like, I had trouble picturing, at some point, is there an ending? What happens? Or is it like forever and ever and ever and ever and longer than I could ever imagine? I'm gonna have to keep living and then dying and then living and then dying, and like, when does it end? Like, I got so overwhelmed by that. And that's because the ego is looking for that finality, like that infinite, that point of no return, basically, the black and white thinking, whereas spirit is that multidimensional piece, that open, eternal, it's just love. It just is, right? There's never a time when we didn't exist. There's never a time when we won't exist, because we always exist. I don't know what I was trying to say there. There never was a time before, there never will be a time after, is what I'm thinking. So soul cannot be destroyed. It just is. Personality, even as you know it, constantly changes, and not always in ways that are anticipated. And you tend to focus your attention on all of the things inside your behavior, looking at the patterns, following these things, and you continue to then project your distorted viewpoint on your reality of the soul and your reality of life. This is what causes so many problems in the world, is we all have very strong opinions that are all 100% based on our personal experiences and beliefs, and we think we're right. Like, I know this is true because it happened to me 10 years ago, and then someone else it happened to too, so that's the truth. Like, we have these really strong perceptions and values, and we just think we're right. Like, reality check, you're not. Neither am I. Like, none of us are, because we're all living in the mind. We're all stuck in this reality. Like, we're so disconnected from the real truth. So we think that death exists. We think that all these things happen. We believe in all these limitations, but they're not actually there. They're just a product of our imagination, quite literally, a product of our ego. And it's about, like, getting rid of that, right? And this, for the soul, above all, perceives and creates. So you are a soul now. The soul within you right now, therefore, is perceiving. And basically, the inner portion of you, the soul stuff, will not suddenly change its methods of perception or its characteristics after a physical death. So the soul isn't something that you lose. It's not something you gain when you die. Like, it's always here. It's always been a part of you. And that is that deeper connection, that deeper inner knowing that a lot of us experience, but maybe that we don't truly understand, especially as we're growing up. And so we start to feel more and more disconnected. And I truly believe one of the biggest reasons our society is the way it is today, with so many problems, is because people are very disconnected from their true selves, from the fact that we are all spiritual beings, we are all love, we can coexist in a world that works together, but we can't be doing that from the ego. That's a whole thing about A Course in Miracles too, which is a very, very great text to read if you're interested in any of that stuff. It's very transformative. Then I'm going to just jump, because this is getting long now. If you're with me, comment, let me know you're still here. Be like, I stayed with you, Kara. I stayed with you. And thank you for doing that. So I think this is fascinating stuff. I hope you are finding it very helpful. Definitely trying to break down a very dense 400 and something page book where it's like very complicated, a lot of times text. Like, this was over my head when I was 18 and trying to figure it out. I was like definitely not perceiving all of it, but it's fascinating. So this is basically saying that after death experiences won't seem so scary, so alien, so weird, when you realize that you actually encounter similar situations as a normal part of your present existence. So it's talking about in sleep and dream states. Like I mentioned, you are involved in the same dimension of existence in which you will have in your after death experiences. So this is why these nightly rituals, these dreams, they are actually very similar, where we're free, we can fly, we can do this, we can do that, we can go from one place to another immediately, we can be in multiple places at the same time, right? There is no limitation, and that is the power of connecting to your soul, connecting to your higher self. You are limitless. Yeah. So connect to it, feel it, enjoy it, right? Anyway, and then last part. Sorry about that. Wow. I can't believe I just did that. Do you know, sometimes I've never given the finger to anyone. And except for, I guess, right there. But that's because I have tattoos on my fingers. But I have to like cognitively think about which finger to put up because I've never done it, because that would just be mean. So Reincarnation, Multidimensional Realities, page 166. This is talking about the constant travel through dimensions and how it does take time in terms of like when you're here in this physical reality still. It takes some time to develop your skills with this travel and the multidimensional realities. But it is all possible, right? Because everything exists at once. If you look at things on the quantum field level, you know, they talk about the quantum timeline. They talk about the fact that like there is no such thing as past, present, future. It's all on the same timeline, which is why you could have multiple realities going on right now. Right now, you might be sitting in a computer room watching this in this timeline, in this reality, but on another on a multi-dimensional level, in another dimension, you might be like on a beach somewhere with your soulmate, living the dream, right? On another dimension, you might be struggling with something else, right? So the whole thing with the quantum field and the multi-dimensional realities that helps me in the present day moment is realizing that just because something is this way right now, in my experience, just because I feel a certain way right now, this moment, doesn't mean that has to stay my reality, because there's a million possible realities and I'm living some of them right now without logically realizing it, right? So if I take on that energy, I'm not going to be so frustrated, or I'm not going to sit in my suffering so much about all the things that are going wrong, because I can know and trust that on a different dimension, things are going beautifully right. And so it's all about shifting your timeline, shifting your own energy and vibration to get into that different level and that create that different reality. And this is a huge part of law of attraction and manifestation, is realizing that everything you want already exists. It's already possible on some plane, on some multidimensional field. And in order to actually have it now, you've just got to align with it. You've just got to step into that version of yourself, believe it, show up like it every day, and it's there, right? It'll come to you so much faster. But if you continue to stay where you are and believe the story of your struggle and continue to complain and be negative and do the same things every day and then get the same results, well, then that dimension and that other reality stays very far away from you. So the best thing you can do to create your own reality is to start aligning with what you desire. It doesn't really talk about that right there, but it's a good little takeaway at the end here. My 5-day challenge that's linked down below will help you with this, because it's all about breaking out and releasing from this current present identity and present story you're telling yourself, releasing these things, creating a new solid foundation, aligning with your future self, your dream self, who's living out that reality that you desire, okay? This is how we do it. It's the embodiment, it's the alignment, it's the releasing. It's really, really powerful, and you have to do all of them in order to actually align with what it is you desire. So I will leave this Seth Speaks video here. Again, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you hit the thumbs up if you liked this. Please subscribe, please share, and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss my next video tomorrow. And check out this book. If you have the time and you want to read, if this is something you're really interested in, I highly recommend. Again, it's this one. I'll show the cover again, because there are a whole bunch of them, but they're fascinating. They are complicated, but they're incredible. So check it out. And I will see you on the next video.